The practice module is central to what we do in MSc Urban Development Planning programme. It's an opportunity to ground the programme's more theoretical, classroom-based reflections and reframings in a complex and dynamic, evolving urban reality. A moment for both staff and students to really grapple with this iterative relationship that exists between planning theory and planning practice.
Built around multi-year partnerships with community-based organisations and public authorities engaged in the struggle for more just cities. This module offers students a unique space to participate meaningfully in the co-production of planning strategies that defend and extend the space for marginalised urban communities. Whilst always focused on a particular place and specific time, UDP practice engagements consistently connect to the processes and dynamics resonant across cities in the global south and north.
This year, the city at the centre of the practice engagement was Cebu, the second largest metropolitan area in the Philippines.
Cebu has a population of just over 3 million people, and approximately 41,000 households within Metro Cebu are estimated to be living in informal settlements. And of the 41,000, about 10,000 are living in areas that have been classified as danger zones. And so we've been working with an organization called Forge. It's a civil society organization that works within low-income neighborhoods using a community organizing model to build their capacities to advocate for and respond to the needs that affect their communities. So our students were kind of thinking through and learning from the experience of community-based organizations that are working to address settlement security issues in danger zones and informal settlements across 3 cities within the metro area. And those 3 cities were Cebu City, Mandaue City, and Talisay City.
So our group was studying the slum improvement and resettlement program in the Philippines, and this was a multi-million peso project which was launched in 1983. The main intention of the program was to give residential lots to the urban poor, but till today it's been around 40 years and the program has not been implemented. And so we sort of tried to study and explore the reasons for the delay in the program. We also looked at ASIRBA, which is a civil society organization, and we were partnering with them to sort of study and understand these challenges that the residents face every day, and what are the kind of strategies that civil society groups like ASIRBA, Forge, and All Power Cebu have deployed till today to sort of gain access to more tenure security and gain access to land.
Our group was looking at the case of communities who, after a series of fires in their neighborhoods in Mandaue City, were relocated to the parking lot of the Cebu International Convention Center, or the CICC, where they still remain. So a few hundred households moved here in 2016 and also later in 2019, and today there's over 500 households who continue to live in the CICC. These households have organized themselves into community organizations and fire victim associations that are working towards achieving a permanent relocation away from the CICC, and also towards improving the living conditions in the CICC while they live there now. Our group was interested in learning more about the experiences of these community organizations to understand the challenges and opportunities to achieving this permanent relocation.
So our group was working in Talisay City. We're working on settlement security. So we were involved with a community that lives on a privately owned area, and the private owner wants to develop a business hub there. And also the area has been characterized as a danger zone. So they are exploring different options for their resettlement, but mainly we were working with them in the barangay Lawan Tres, and it's, well, a community that it's trying to find a place to settle where they feel comfortable and secure.
During our time in Cebu, the UDP students worked with community research partners and translators to complete a range of research activities, ranging from transect walks and community asset mapping to focus groups and key informant interviews.
Before the OPE, we looked at a lot of desk research, but also we looked at a lot of policy papers.
And once we reached Cebu, we conducted quite a lot of interviews and focus group discussions with the community as well as government officials. And eventually we worked on a flowchart to document the entire SIR process from the very beginning when a person is considered eligible to finally until they receive the land title.
For our group, it was really important to make sure that the ground realities and experiences of the communities in the CICC led and guided our research throughout. So whether it was our desk research in London or our fieldwork in Mandawi, that was really important to us, and we were very deliberate about making sure that their experiences and aspirations really led the work. And so that was the case when we did our focus group discussions and our interviews with them, and in our research outputs as well.
So mainly we had interviews, in-depth interview with the members of the community, also with members of government. And we also did some focus groups, trying to understand how their community working and them being part of a collective is helping them and empowering them in the negotiations that they are having, because many of them live in or are facing this kind of displacement situation. So they are working together to see and becoming more powerful through their collective organization in order to deliver this kind of negotiation with the government.
Before we left the city, the practice engagement convened a citywide meeting of stakeholders to both test and refine the initial findings and recommendations, but also to share learnings across 3 different municipalities.
So we were working on the SIR program, which has a 10% implementation rate, which means that out of every 100 people who would be beneficiaries, 10 of them have land titles. This sort of documented the features of elite democracy, concentration of capital and class division that exists within Cebu city, and as a result of which people are facing everyday challenges in getting the SIR program implemented. But while there was a whole politics of waiting in which people were constantly negotiating and persuading the state to get land titles, they were also forming alliances and employing strategies such as conducting meetings, conducting knowledge sessions, etc. to advance their claim for the SIR program.
We learned that the community-based organizations do hold power and agency, and they were able to sort of the legacy of ASIRBA in that case has been in the ordinances of the program, and the policy document has had policy interventions which were beneficial to the community. So the community there is a lot of mobilization which can be leveraged.
And finally, what was evident was that there are very different ideas that the state and the citizens have of what the city should be like, and the need for a constructive partnership between the state and the citizens became apparent for just settlement programs.
So our group learned that living conditions in the CICC are really challenging, and that there's an absence of basic services, which really highlights the urgent need to improve the living conditions in the CICC and also speed up the relocation towards a different site. The actors in the CICC are really pushing towards a permanent relocation, and there is a renewed momentum towards achieving a relocation that's more sustainable and that addresses the concerns of the communities in the CICC.
we found ourselves with a very strong community that is really keen on staying together. One of their key priorities in their resettlement is to stay together as a community, because their networks are so important for them facing the challenges that they have. So while we were there, we conducted a community mapping co-produced with them, so as to systematize in a way all the assets that they have as a community and how important that is, in order to, that needs to be taken into account if they are going to be resettled. Staying together has been a really important thing that helped them throughout all the challenges that they have faced. Typhoon Odette, COVID, how that affected their livelihoods, their works, their incomes, and them staying together is definitely a key factor in their resettlement.
Ports found out that the research output is very useful for us in developing of our advocacy agenda. And of course, this is also a stepping stone that we can establish a collaborative efforts with the local government units and other stakeholders vis-a-vis to the issue that the research is doing. The research output is very useful to ports in future undertakings in helping identifying solution of our partner communities.
The experience is quite amazing because this is my first time, and the result of the research, the output presented, the findings of the students are very beneficial, not just for Forge, but for the community residents, for the government officials. And this will be used for future collaborations with the government officials and with other stakeholders for the betterment of the urban poor sector here in Cebu province, specifically in Mandaue, Cebu, and Talisay cities.
The partnership between Forge and UCL is a very memorable for me, very significant for me, because we can have an output or information that go through the research activities. And I hope that there will be another partnership that develop the various issues confronting in our partner communities. It could not be done by individual. It should be done by a collective action of all involved stakeholders.
So the OPE was an absolutely incredible experience, and personally for me, my favorite part of the MSc program. So from conducting literature review to going out on the field and conducting interviews to presenting final analysis, I think the academic research experience was comprehensive and challenging, and it pushed us to think of theoretical and conceptual frameworks that can help determine a more just settlement approach. And more importantly, I think the program and the faculty pushed us to continuously reflect on our role as planners, and that kind of ethical academic research experience was extremely valuable.
So throughout the master program, I've learned academic frameworks and theories around social justice and sustainability in the context of urban development. I think OPE was a practical experience in applying these academic tools to a real urban context, and also it helped me to understand better what I've learned in the lectures.
The OPE exposed me to multiple forms of methods, frameworks, literature, as well as practices of land tenure, community organizing, as well as how negotiations are conducted with the state. And this form of extremely ethical academic research taught me how partnerships are formed as well as nurtured, and how co-production takes place in real life.
It gave me the opportunity to go to the community and to listen to people and to use academic tools to unpack what's going there. And also it was an experience that reaffirmed the importance of looking at the local context on the ground.
This engagement with a UCL, I do not see it as the end, but rather it will be the start of many more engagement with UCL. I am pretty sure that UCL and Forge will have more collaborations in the future.
The DPU's partnership with Forge and their network of organised urban poor communities, as well as sympathetic elements in the local and regional government, is only just beginning. Going forward, we look forward to supporting this alliance in their attempts to hold space for the urban poor in a fast-changing, or to use academic jargon, worlding Cebu.